Hi everyone, in this oh-so-exciting video, I'm going to go over the recent travails that Tesla, and in particular Tesla's shareholders, have been through over the past little while. Now I have a background in finance, and I have a PhD in finance, and I'm a quant, so this is the type of thing that I follow reasonably closely. However, if you have any thoughts about it, drop those in the comments below, of course. Now, so that you don't have to stare at my ugly mug throughout this whole video, I am playing random stock footage of Teslas during this, so I guess enjoy the look of those cars if you like Teslas, I guess. In any case, there's been a couple of things that have emerged about Tesla over the past time period. Now, there's two overarching things that have emerged. Firstly, quality control issues in China, and then secondly, there have been some issues in relation to Bitcoin, and in particular Tesla's announcement that it might consider start accepting Bitcoin as a method of payment, and that it had purchased $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. So we need to address both of those. Now, during this time period, Tesla's share price had actually decreased quite significantly, telling us kind of what the market thinks about these announcements put together. Now, it is a little bit difficult to disentangle the two, because the two appear to be quite linked, both temporally, but also in terms of the decision making. And Michael Burry, who is perhaps most well known for that Big Short documentary/movie, is rather pessimistic about Tesla, and he asserted that the decision in relation to Bitcoin was an obfuscation, and in particular an attempt to hide what had happened in relation to China, or at least to distract the market from it. So let's first look at what's happened in China. So Tesla has run into issues with regulators in China. China had summoned Tesla to discuss quality control related issues. Reportedly, some Teslas have been having significant issues in terms of random control problems, i.e. accelerating without driver input and the like. Now obviously those types of things need to be resolved so that Tesla can actually function in a safe manner. Now reportedly at one point in time, Tesla has recalled up to 20,000 imported Model S versions in China, and up to 15,000 or 16,000 units of the Model X version. Now, obviously, it remains to be seen exactly how much of those imports, and how much of those recalls really impacted Tesla's bottom line, because not all recalls are created equal. Some recalls are disastrous, and some recalls, of course, are rather minor. And it appears in 2020 that China had contributed about $6.66 billion to Tesla's revenue in 2020, i.e. it is telling us that Tesla is increasingly relying on China. Furthermore, with government support, Tesla had built its Gigafactory in China, and that had to some extent enabled it to get more favorable treatment in terms of regulation and tax and the like. So Tesla is intrinsically tied to the Chinese market at the moment. So this is rather negative that Tesla is called in by the regulators. It puts Tesla's supposed favored status into slightly new light. Because if Tesla is being called in by the regulators, it's no longer going to be given a free pass, if it ever were. The market then is going to reassess what it thinks is going to happen in relation to Tesla, both in terms of sales numbers going forward, but also in terms of the potential cost of any future recalls or remedies that Tesla needs to engage in. So in short, the market has responded rather pessimistically to this type of situation, which is rather unsurprising. Now, Tesla, at the same time, had also made announcements in relation to Bitcoin. So let's have a look at those. Tesla had announced that it had purchased $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. The precise price at which they purchased it is a little bit unclear at the moment, but still $1.5 billion is a major investment. In addition to this, Tesla signaled that it might consider accepting Bitcoin as a method of payment. This is an interesting decision, and to some extent the market might not have responded super positively to it. Now, while Bitcoin did spike as an asset class immediately after this announcement, and it is at an all-time high, it remains to be seen if this is actually a wise decision, and this is for a few reasons. Firstly, Tesla is at its core an industrial company. It is not a fund. It's not an ETF, it's not a fund of funds. Investors don't necessarily want their industrial companies to go out and invest in listed assets. Investors can do this themselves. Investors can buy Bitcoin themselves. they can buy other listed assets themselves. They don't necessarily want Tesla to go out and buy a whole lot of Bitcoin, because they can just do this themselves if they want exposure to Bitcoin, and not all investors necessarily do. The other factor that is an issue here is that many professional investors, and also central banks, have sounded caution about Bitcoin's utility, both as a store of value and in terms of its use case. I.e., it might have a diminished use value because it is so incredibly volatile that customers will not necessarily have full confidence about using Bitcoin for purchases, because they're going to bear a lot of exposure to Bitcoin's fluctuations if they start trying to purchase with Bitcoin. Similarly, the suppliers to Tesla are unlikely to want to receive Bitcoin as a method of payment, because their investors are typically going to want to see returns in their own hard currency units. So Tesla potentially could bear some exchange risk here. That is the risk that Bitcoin could fluctuate. In any case, accepting Bitcoin is effectively imposing an additional layer of risk onto Tesla that investors might not necessarily want. And indeed, a UBS banker had come out and said that Bitcoin is potentially too volatile to really form a well-structured part of a diversified portfolio. In addition to this, you have the wide bid-ask spreads that Bitcoin demonstrates, which basically means there's high transactions costs whenever you're buying and selling Bitcoin. I.e., the price between what you can buy Bitcoin at and what you can sell can be quite wide. And this makes Bitcoin quite expensive to deal with for large companies like Tesla. In any case, the lukewarm response to the announcement from Tesla's shareholders could also have further diminished the share price. Like I said, Bitcoin itself increased in value on the announcement, and Tesla could have gained a little bit from this, because if it holds Bitcoin, then it will intrinsically gain from Bitcoin's price increasing. However, the market might not want Tesla to go out and make such investments. So overall, what we've seen is that Tesla's share price has been doing rather poorly over the last little while, potentially reflecting both of the concerns here about both the Bitcoin situation, but also the quality control situation. In any case, those are my thoughts on the most recent Tesla movements. As for whether I think Tesla's overpriced, well, that is really a matter for a specific and devoted analysis to Tesla itself. However, in short, I would be pretty cautious about Tesla's share price. It appears to have gone up in a way that does not necessarily reflect its fundamentals. And to a large extent, Tesla is facing increasing competition from many other legacy manufacturers who are starting to go down the electric route. So Porsche and Audi, for example, have got electric cars, and those would be prestige manufacturers that could easily compete with Tesla for market share. And it's only a matter of time until a broader cross-section of manufacturers start competing. And that will create issues for Tesla. And to some extent, I think that headwind means that Tesla needs to be cautious about its current share price, and I suspect that it has very limited scope to grow. That, of course, is not financial advice. Those are just my views. Always do your own research before going out and making an investment. In any case, those are my thoughts on Tesla and what's happened recently. If you have any thoughts, drop those in the comments below. And otherwise, thanks a lot for tuning in, and it would be brilliant if you liked the video and subscribe to the channel. And I very much hope to see you for future videos as well. Bye.